they just showed it like a game of love, which I think it is. I think we're all looking to feel good, and whatever that means for us. And I think for a lot of us, it does mean sharing love with others in all types of dynamics. And they just showed somebody we would call like a player, right? But they showed it from their perspective of, like they said, he was like lucky in love, which I thought was really funny because I was like, that's not love though. But that was how he was perceiving it. How do I say this? It was like in his eyes, in his mind, and in his life, in his perspective, he was playing, quote, the game of life where he was living and loving, but he was like treating women like options and toys. So like to me, like again, it was like the idea of a player, and to me it was the idea of like he was equating lust for love, right? To me it's just night and day. But the other thing I need to spit out is like this also shows that stark contrast of like how serious somebody takes life, right? Like sometimes I'm way too fucking serious and it's like real and intense and I need to lighten the fuck up. But others are just the complete opposite. They're so loosey-goosey. They take nothing seriously, including love. But they also have never truly experienced those depths because they're not capable. They're very surface. And not good or bad, right or wrong either. It's just how they operate and how they're enjoying their life, right? That's enjoyable for them. They're happy. They're content with that, right? And so somebody who's the other end of the spectrum will be like, oh, you can't be because they're not, right? Or they'd be like, oh, that's so sad because you don't know the depth. But it's not, doesn't need to be looked at that way. Like that some people are just surface, but they're truly like, that's how they want to float through life. And so it was showing this player like that. And it's like, sorry, I jumped off there. So can you take me back to where you were showing me through that perspective? Because it was fascinating to me. It was like, it was this equation of, I was going to say not believing in love, but not understanding love, not even knowing love really. And so only was knowing the less than. And so, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. So he that was all he knew. And again, he was equating lust for love because he had never experienced love. So to him, even though that was his equation, he would say like, oh yeah, I loved so-and-so or had relationships with so-and-so because he, in his mind, that lust dynamic was love. Like that's all he knew. And so, it was like his idea was he was winning in life because he was also not necessarily ever truly getting hurt when he would move on to the next or they would move on to the next. There wasn't enough depth or realness or vulnerability or openness or truth or true love there. So it doesn't hurt as deep. It's not the same depth. It's not the same slice because that's why it's easy peasy. And that's why they become players, because it's easy peasy to jump, and never go real or deep. And, but from his angle, from his perspective, he didn't see any of that. That wasn't how he was interpreting it or translating it at all. He would have said he was winning in life, winning in the game. He would have said he was having the time of his life, right? And I think that's often how players perceive things. They're having a blast. They're having a wonderful time. They're just jumping all around, doing whatever. Life is great. But then they wake up one day and they realize, where's it going? What's it like? It's almost like all of a sudden the game stops, or all of a sudden they realize they were playing a game versus enjoying life, living life. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like all of a sudden, it's like they cracked a new layer or something where they're like, oh shit, time's up, or something like this. It's something like this because they then showed it like he was ready to retire his player ways, this kind of thing. It was like he wanted to or was ready to experience real love. But again, it was like that was almost like a new concept to him, in that I don't know that he was conscious or aware or would have been able to verbalize that he hadn't experienced that previously. Do you know what I mean? And so now there was still something more with him with this recognition, because it almost gave this feeling of like not sad. Like normally I would see that and perceive that through my eyes as sad, but it didn't give that feeling at all. It was more of this like understanding that everybody's just simply where they're at when they're there, right? Like, how can I explain this? It's like if everybody can stop judging. Yeah, okay. So I was just going to say, like, even their past, right? Because, like, the feeling through this person's eyes was he really was, aware that he didn't have the depth previously that he desired now. And so it's like, well, why can't he have that, right? And because then they had jumped me through other people's eyes. Like, it was actually, like, old women, like other old lovers that were, like, sour towards him or scornful or angry or something like that. And so like they seemed to not want him to be happy now or something like that. But again, when I was back in his eyes, it wasn't, he just wasn't aware is what it feels like. It was like he just didn't know any better, and he wasn't, like I think sometimes we think of players as malicious and intentional players and liars and that kind of thing. This person wasn't that way. It was like he just was oblivious or something. And so then it was like, well, why, like now that he's awakened, why not? Why shouldn't he be able to receive love? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and it was only like the judgment of others. It was like the scorn old lovers that were like, I don't know. I guess they hadn't forgiven him or forgiven themselves. I don't know. In any case, it was an interesting viewpoint and feeling, and maybe like reminder and awareness that we're all where we're at. Oh, so I was going to say this again, and they keep like having me have this like little hiccup where it's like, it's something about, I think, discernment, where it's like, yeah, you want to allow everybody to move forward in life and not be held to the fire of their past, quote, lives, meaning their past experiences, their old self. You know, we're always evolving and growing, so we want to allow ourselves to evolve and grow, and we want to allow others to do such as well, right? Just because he was a player then doesn't mean he's a player now. That being said, they're also pointing out, like, the reason that maybe some of the women were scornful or unforgiving or something like this, it's something about discernment. It's like, be careful too in that, what? It's like showing something here. It's like, don't be so foolish, but also don't be so judgmental. I guess it's like that fine line. But to me, that also always boils back to what we always say, as long as you're staying in alignment with you. In other words, if you're coming across, quote, an old player, meaning he's retired his player ways and he claims to be a different way, and you want to give that an opportunity or a chance, then you just stay in alignment with you. So if he starts to show red flags or is reverting back to old ways or whatever the case may be, then you've remained in alignment with you. You have no problem moving forward or walking away. I guess it's the idea of like, don't judge another by their past, but also don't dismiss their past. It's something like this. It is something like that. Maybe it's also like, ask the right questions, like how have they grown and evolved to who they are today? What's changed? Like what lessons have they really learned, right? Like asking the right questions, because, you know, he could certainly say a spiel, but maybe hasn't cracked open enough. But hopefully he isn't coming into your field if he's not of a vibrational match, or if there aren't more lessons there for you to learn. And sometimes it is that last lesson of knowing that you're not a vibrational match and you saying, no, thank you. This seems to be like a message for somebody that needs to get out. And so I think the overarching message they're trying to show you is to have balance. Just remain aligned with you, and you'll know what to do. Because it will be different for every single person in this scenario. It's going to depend on your own development. It's going to depend on the other person's development. And maybe relax. Maybe don't be so serious or rigid or stuck in your head or worried. Don't have any fright or fear. Like, just relax. I know that's the message for me, always. Just fucking relax. Because the more relaxed we are, the more receptive we are. And the more receptive we are, the more we're going to be able to receive the guidance as to what is for our highest and best. It's like, don't overthink it, but don't underthink it, right? It's like, just make sure you're aligned with you. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. If you would like to support this channel, you can find more information in the notes below.